something explosive just cracked through the polished walls of the British monarchy, and it didn't come from a tabloid rumor mill. It came from inside the royal history books themselves. Because when a respected royal biographer suddenly stops speaking politely and instead drops a blunt prediction about titles being stripped, reputations collapsing, and two royal brothers being dealt with in one single sweep, people start whispering, and those whispers are getting louder by the day. The question now hanging in the air like a storm cloud is simple but terrifying for some members of the royal family. Is Prince Andrew's scandal about to trigger a chain reaction that ends with Meghan Markle losing the very title that built her global brand? Because once you start connecting the dots, the picture becomes impossible to ignore.
Meghan Markle is threatening to sue the British royal family and Prince William if her titles are removed.
It's ridiculous. Stop it, okay? This doesn't even make sense to me that she would even think that she deserves this title.
They're basically manipulating their position for their own personal gain. I think this is a very serious moment for the monarchy, actually. I think, far more than Andrew or anything else, these are the people that are likely to really damage.
BAKIEG_Prince Andrew scandal. The moment that set this entire controversy on fire came when royal biographer Andrew Looney decided to say what palace insiders usually only hint at behind closed doors. No vague language, no diplomatic phrasing, just a cold, direct prediction that King Charles may soon push forward reforms designed to strip royal titles from family members who are no longer serving the monarchy as working royals. And then came the line that sent royal watchers scrambling. According to Looney, the palace might deal with the Andrew problem and the Harry problem at the same time, not separately, not gradually. One policy, one decision, one sweeping move from the palace. Two royal brothers suddenly facing the same institutional reckoning. And suddenly the conversation changes because one brother is drowning in scandal and legal chaos while the other lives thousands of miles away in California, appearing at global events while refusing to return to royal duty. On paper, their situations look different, but structurally, the monarchy may see them as the exact same problem. And before anyone dismisses this as wild gossip, there's a reason Looney's words landed like a thunderclap. He isn't a random commentator chasing clicks. He's a historian who has spent years studying the monarchy from the inside. In fact, long before Prince Andrew's reputation collapsed publicly, Looney had already warned that the system protecting him was weakening. Which means when he says reforms are coming, palace observers listen carefully. Because in the strange, silent world of royal politics, historians often hear the rumblings before the earthquake.
There's this ludicrous couple just pretending to do a royal tour. God knows what it's all about except for chasing headlines and saying, hey, anything William can do, we can do better. It's pathetic. It's really pathetic.
I think the palace and the machinery of the monarchy needs to take Harry and Meghan more seriously and make sure that Harry and Meghan's antics don't impact the future of the crown.
And suddenly, other voices inside the royal ecosystem started echoing the same message. A senior palace aide reportedly described the coming reforms with a single principle that sounds simple but could change everything: accountability. For generations, royal titles weren't just decorations attached to a name. They represented service, visible work carried out on behalf of the crown and the country, ribbon cuttings, hospital visits, diplomatic missions, the entire machinery of monarchy running on public duty. But what happens when someone keeps the title while stepping away from the duty that justifies it? That question has been quietly haunting Buckingham Palace for years. Now it's being asked out loud.
The reports are that Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew, has been arrested.
You know, I was beginning to fear it might, but when it actually happens, it is an absolute bombshell. I mean, to put this into context, there has been no member of the royal family arrested in my lifetime. I'm 60 years old.
I did think it would happen. If Harry and Meghan are watching, they should be incredibly concerned, because if it's this simple to take away Prince Andrew's titles, one day it could be this easy to take away Harry and Meghan's titles.
One line from that palace aide instantly caught global attention. Royal rank cannot simply exist in a vacuum. Read that again slowly. Royal rank cannot exist in a vacuum, because those words seem aimed directly at two very specific people. On one side sits Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, once known as Prince Andrew, now living quietly on the Sandringham estate after losing almost every royal privilege he once carried. On the other side, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan, living in a sprawling Montecito mansion thousands of miles from London, position, yet still appearing on global stages while carrying titles granted by the crown they walked away from. United Nations events, World Health Organization appearances, charity summits, international media coverage, and every introduction begins with the same 6 words that still open doors around the world: the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And when you step back and examine the timeline carefully, the story starts feeling less like speculation and more like a slow-motion domino collapse. In October 2025, the palace made a stunning move that shocked even seasoned royal observers. King Charles stripped Prince Andrew of the last remnants of his royal identity. His royal status gone, his ceremonial roles erased, his royal honors removed. Even the way he was addressed publicly changed overnight. Official documents stopped calling him Prince Andrew. Instead, the palace used a different name entirely: Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a private citizen.
The HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family because it denotes a level of I guess, respect in the public, and also it's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honor to have an HRH. Royalty is not just a title that you can use to sell jam. It's a service, and if she doesn't want to do the service, give back the title.
On February 19th, 2026, the day that should have been a quiet birthday for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, something extraordinary happened at the Sandringham estate. Unmarked police vehicles arrived early in the morning, their presence immediately noticed by staff and security. Within hours, the situation exploded into headlines that rippled across the entire world. Andrew was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Let that sink in for a moment. A man born a prince, the son of Queen Elizabeth II, someone who spent his life inside the most protected royal bubble imaginable, taken into custody on his own birthday. The symbolism alone was staggering. Sandringham had once been the warm holiday retreat where the late Queen hosted Christmas celebrations for the entire royal family. Now it had become the location where one of her sons was led away under police investigation. Reports later revealed he was held for 11 hours before being released while authorities continued their inquiries. But the arrest itself had already detonated across British society, because according to historical records, this was the first time in centuries that a senior member of the royal family had been arrested in such a public way. And then something even more revealing happened. The palace released a short official statement acknowledging the situation. But inside that carefully crafted message was a detail royal watchers immediately noticed. The statement did not call him Prince Andrew. It did not describe him as the king's brother. Instead, it used the same name that had quietly replaced his royal identity months earlier: Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. That wording wasn't accidental. It was a signal that the institution had already drawn a line between the monarchy and the men now facing legal scrutiny. Behind palace walls, insiders reportedly made sure royal correspondents understood the message clearly. Andrew was no longer being treated as a protected member of the royal family. He was being treated as a private citizen dealing with the law. And suddenly, the entire royal system seemed to be demonstrating something far bigger than just damage control. According to Andrew Looney, the entire process had quietly served another purpose. It showed exactly how quickly the monarchy can act when it decides a line has been crossed. And that is where the story begins to drift directly toward Harry and Meghan. Because Looney didn't describe the Andrew situation as an isolated event. He described it as a warning shot across Harry's bow. Not a rumor, not a conspiracy theory. A demonstration. The legal pathway had now been tested. The public reaction had already been measured. The precedent was sitting there in plain sight. If a king could strip nearly everything from his own brother, a man born with the title of prince, then removing a dukedom from a son who voluntarily stepped away from royal duties suddenly becomes a far less complicated conversation. And the timing of what happened next only added fuel to an already roaring fire. Just 1 week after Andrew's arrest, while the monarchy was still navigating the biggest public crisis it had faced in decades, Harry and Meghan appeared thousands of miles away on what looked remarkably like a royal tour. Cameras followed them through Jordan. Motorcades rolled through city streets. Hospitals were visited. Refugee camps were toured. Professional photos circulated through major magazines. Carefully coordinated briefings appeared in glossy outlets like People and Town and Country. Every image was polished, every appearance choreographed. But there was one uncomfortable detail that immediately triggered whispers inside royal circles. Harry and Meghan were no longer working royals, yet the entire visit looked indistinguishable from the official royal tours once carried out by William and Catherine. One royal commentator bluntly described the trip as DIY royaling. In other words, recreating the visual theater of monarchy without the institution itself. And that perception reportedly caused serious tension behind palace walls. One insider claimed the palace was furious. Another source said the visit looked like a full-scale royal tour, just without the permission slip. But perhaps the most revealing detail of the entire trip wasn't what happened. It was what didn't happen. Jordan's royal leadership never met with them. King Abdullah II and Queen Rania, who had welcomed William and Catherine only months earlier at Windsor Castle, did not host Harry and Meghan during their visit. No tea, no dinner, not even a quick ceremonial greeting. That silence spoke volumes. Meanwhile, another revelation quietly surfaced that added yet another layer to the drama. Journalist Russell Myers reported that King Charles once considered offering Harry the role of Governor General of Canada in an effort to keep him within the royal structure. The plan never materialized, but the mere fact it was discussed reveals how far the king may have been willing to go to keep his son connected to the institution. Now, that possibility appears to belong to a completely different chapter of royal history, and that is where Meghan Markle's situation suddenly becomes impossible to ignore, because the title Duchess of Sussex has become more than a ceremonial label. It has become the foundation of an entire global identity. Every interview, every documentary, every charity appearance, every major partnership announcement, almost all of them begin with the same introduction: the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Those words open doors. They reshape headlines. They add prestige to events and organizations. Without that title, the narrative changes instantly. Instead of global royalty advocating on international stages, the story becomes something else entirely: a former television actress and her husband building a life in California. That shift might sound subtle, but in the world of media influence and global branding, it is enormous. And this is exactly why Andrew Looney's comments sent shockwaves through royal commentary, because he didn't say reforms might happen someday. He suggested the real question could soon become when. Some observers believe Prince William may eventually address the Sussex titles early in his reign. Others believe King Charles could act sooner if political pressure grows. Andrew's downfall has already proven the legal mechanism exists. Government officials have already hinted they are open to discussions. Constitutional experts say debates about defining a working royal are quietly gaining momentum behind the scenes. Andrew's arrest didn't start those conversations, but it accelerated them dramatically. And once that definition becomes official, the monarchy could face a decision it has managed to avoid for years. If royal titles are truly tied to royal service, what happens to titles held by those who stepped away from that service? Andrew Looney called the Andrew scandal a warning shot, but warning shots only matter if someone believes the cannon is loaded. And from the outside, Harry and Meghan appear to be continuing exactly as before. The appearances continue. The partnerships continue. The introductions still begin with the same familiar phrase: the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Yet the institution that created those titles now seems to be quietly reconsidering the entire system behind them, which means if reforms do arrive, the moment may not feel like speculation anymore. It may feel like a final decision. And when that moment comes, the real question will not simply be whether Meghan Markle can continue without a royal title. The real question will be whether everything built around that title can survive once it's gone.